The King's Son. There was once a great king who was named the Good. He had one only son, whom he loved very much. The king often went hunting, for hunting is a royal sport, and it is indeed very merry when the horn sounds, the dogs bark, woof, 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 and the horses neigh, neigh. He was very fond of the hunt, yet it pained him to see the poor wounded animals. One day the hunters chased a white hare who, with its swift feet, saved itself from its pursuers and took refuge in the arms of the king. The king fondled the little hare, saying, "No harm shall come to you. In the king's arms you are safe." He took the hare into his castle, shut it into a room, and gave it the best herbs and other food to eat, and then went to bed with the feeling that he had done a good deed. For is it not a good deed to shield a weak animal? But what took place in the night? A bright light awoke the king. He looked up and saw a lovely woman standing before him. With a soft voice she said, "I am the fairy True Lips. I was in the wood in which you hunted. I wished to try you, and so changed myself into a white hare. Then when the hunters chased me, I flew into your arms and found that they had rightly given you the name of the Good King. I thank you for your kindness, and say in return, 'Command, O King, how I shall serve you.'" "Beautiful fairy," said the good king, "I need nothing. I have all that I want, for I am old. But I have a son, a fine, strong son. Be his friend." "I will," said the fairy. "What shall I give him? Riches, honors, beauty, power? Choose." "None of those," said the king. "Make him the best of sovereigns. What good will riches, honors, beauty, power do him? What avails all the wealth of the world if he is unkind? Give him virtue, since virtue alone makes us happy." "You speak the truth," said the fairy. "I can give him everything else, but not virtue. Only by his own will can a man get that. All I can promise is that I will watch over him and stand by his side in his path through life." This pleased the king, and when his time came to repose and leave this earth, he left the world with an easier mind. His son was his heir. 2 days after the repose of the good king, the fairy tulips stood before the new king. "I made a promise to your father, Prince," said she, "to be your friend and to keep my word. I bring to you a present. Give me your finger. On it I place this ring. Keep it safely. It is of more worth than diamonds. Every time you are tempted to do an evil action, it will prick your finger. If you fail to remain good, you will lose my friendship." After speaking these words, the fairy tulips at once went out of sight. For a long time the king felt no prick from his ring. But one day, when he was at the hunt, the stag got away from him, and he got very angry. Then the ring pricked him. After he'd reached home, in his ill temper he kicked his little dog to the other end of the room, and again the ring pricked him. The king then became sulky and seated himself in a corner. "What does the fairy mean?" he asked. "Am I not master over my own little dog, I to whom the kingdom belongs? I think she means to mock me." "No," sounded the voice of the fairy. "I do not mock you. But one fault leads to another. Why should your little dog suffer for your ill humor? You are a king, and if kings are not self-controlled, kind, and good, their subjects can have no trust in them. Your father was called the Good, and he was kind to men and beasts." Now you see, the son of the good king had been a spoiled child, for the king could seldom bear to deny him anything. So, as can be, self-will had grown in him. Yes, his heart was good, but he often forgot himself and let his passion break out, as the poor little animals knew to their cost. He could not any longer bear the ring, which now so often told him of his faults, so he threw it away. But one evening, as he was in his room, the earth shook, and the fairy tulips stood before him. "I gave my word to your father that I would watch over you. But what can I do if you refuse to be warned?" said she. "You are like the lion in your wrath, the wolf in your greediness, the serpent in your falsehood, and the ox in your rudeness. To punish you, I take from you the form of a man, but not the feelings of one. Become a lion." She so spoke and vanished, and the prince at once found himself in a pit that had been dug to catch bears. There a hunter came upon him, bound him, led him away, and sold him to a man who tamed wild beasts and made a show of them to the public. Even as a lion, the prince was ill-tempered and refused to obey orders. Blows, nothing but blows, hard words, heavy chains. These were what the prince got for his misbehavior. He was now very sorry for his former life. Soon he began to wish he could have another chance, and he made up his mind to be much better behaved. Then, one moonlight night, he prayed the fairy to come and change him again. She heard his prayer and came. "For the sake of your father, the good king, I will give you another chance," she said. "Return to the kingdom and be good, and then you will be beloved. But should I ever again find you in a cruel action, I shall turn you into an owl." The fairy spoke thus, then vanished. The prince awoke the next morning in his royal bed. Oh, and how glad he was to feel himself a man again. After this, he was very good, and never let a day pass without making sure that he had done his duty in his high state. So the son of the good king became worthy of his father, and gained for himself a name which was known and loved throughout the whole country over which he reigned. And so this story ends.